This is Jack Stanley, and I wanted to do another talk for new collectors, people who are new in the field of collecting records and who are just starting to acquire a collection. You probably have seen the term many times, pre-dog. What does that mean, and what is a pre-dog record? Well, once again, it's a term that's been used for many, many years, and it is basically Victor records and pre-Victor talking machine records that have not used Nipper yet. Nipper, the advertisement using Nipper looking into the gramophone, was not used until 1902. Now, of course, the first Victor records weren't even called Victor records, actually, but we'll get into that in a moment. But let me just explain some of this to you. The Victor Company started basically because of the Berliner Company. And I've done a video already on the history of the Victor Talking Machine Company, and I explain all of this. But the thing is that Eldridge Johnson worked with the Berliner Company. He was a machinist, a mechanic, a designer, an inventor to a degree with the Berliner Company, and he developed their spring motor for their machines, and eventually he was making all the parts for the Berliner gramophone machine. Berliner was forced out of business through the actions of the Columbia Phonograph Company and through the actions of Frank Seaman. And that's also in that history of Victor, which you can hear as well. But also another thing that's kind of interesting here is Eldridge Johnson found himself in a very severe situation. He had just built a factory to manufacture parts, and suddenly there was no company to manufacture parts for. And so he was forced to go into the business. So I want to show you some examples of what we call pre-dog records. Now, this is a very early pre-dog. This is the first label that was created by Johnson. And it doesn't even say anything about Victor, because the Victor wasn't even thought of yet. Right now, this is a consolidated gramophone record and manufactured by the Consolidated Talking Machine Company, or Talking Machine Company. Had a little note in the back telling you everything about it. I think that's right, or is that upside down? That's upside down. Okay. Has a little note there in the back, if you can read that. I don't know if it's possible to be read. Another example of pre-dog records. This is the next form of label. It's called an improved record. This is a record, unfortunately, someone decided to make a bigger spindle hole in, so I had to kind of fix it. And on the back of this one, this also has a note, which I'll show you. Another type of pre-dog would be like this. These are all 7-inch, by the way. I will tell you this now, that all pre-dogs are either 7 or 10 inches. There is no such thing as a 12-inch pre-dog. The 12-inch disc doesn't really start until late 1902 into beginning 1903 in the development of it. And they were called deluxe records for Victor. But this is the most common form of 7-inch pre-dog found. It's the Victor record. Now, one of the stories, of course, has to do with the court case, that he was the victor in the court case, and hence the name Victor came about. Well, we can question that. Also, the other thing with pre-dogs, the Consolidated just lists the Consolidated Talking Machine Company. The Eldridge Johnson label, which I'll show you a 10-inch version of here, has the name of Eldridge Johnson. And, of course, they're Victor Monarch Records. There was no such thing as the Victor Talking Machine Company yet. This company would be incorporated through using many of the patents and monies and business parts of Berliner and Johnson and his patents. And they got together, they formed the Victor Talking Machine Company. Now, Berliner took care of everything in Canada, and Johnson had the United States. This is a Predog 10-inch, which was called Monarch. It's kind of an unusual one. It's actually classical. You don't see much in the way of classical early recordings. Now, what they did afterwards, once the company was founded on October the 3rd, 1901, they changed everything around shortly afterwards, as soon as labels ran out. They used the old labels until they were done with them. But they changed Eldridge Johnson's name and replaced it with the Victor Talking Machine Company. As you can see here, everything else is the same. Also, with the 7-inch, they started calling it a Victor Monarch record once they incorporated it as the Victor Talking Machine Company. So those are some examples of what we call pre-dogs. And a lot of times you'll hear that, and for those people who have not been collecting long or are basically heading in different directions, I wanted to share some of that with you, because a lot of times it's hard to find this information. I mean, once again, as I said in the previous thing, those of us who have been collecting, and I've been collecting for 46 years, you find, that a lot of people don't know these things, because a lot of times they don't know where to look, and they need a little help. So that's what this is all about. If you have questions, ideas, or things you'd like to know about record collecting, about the early days of recording, please feel free to write me and ask. Always happy to share. And as I said, it's always good to share the knowledge that we have learned, us old dinosaurs, and pass them on to the new generation. And I can tell you this, when I started collecting in 1969, there was nothing. There was nothing at all much to tell you about what was a pre-dog, what was this, what was that. It's amazing with the internet today how things have changed. So, hope you enjoyed this. Hope this helps you a little bit. And I hope you find some pre-dogs. Good luck to you.